Oh,
All
thank you, community.
right.
All right, all
What
right, all
is good, internet? We are finally back after all this time. You know, granted, whoever was watching us before that, but hey, well, better late than never, I guess. It's either way, we're back
It's in
and we're
progress.
better. Yeah, you know, we learned, we've improved. We're only going to improve, and we'll just tell our stories.
Yeah, years
So,
from now, we're gonna come back to this moment, and it's all like, yeah, these Zoom meetings, right?
what a time to be alive.
I mean, with that said, welcome to season 2 of the podcast. We're not doing this stuff live anymore.
Yeah,
By
it's
the way,
just it.
let's we'll preface it with that.
Yeah, Zoom spoiled us. It's made things a lot easier just to pre-record everything with that recording feature. But
Hmm.
it feels good to be back though. I guess this is somewhat of like a season 2 slash reboot. I don't know. There's not really any true continuity between our episodes. Kind of just talk about whatever we want. That's why it's the either or podcast.
Yep. We either talk about something serious or something not so serious.
Yeah. For those who are either just tuning in or just getting to know us, I'm Paul, and then whoever wants to introduce themselves next can do that.
I can do mine next. I'm Phil. I'm the one with the messy ass dreads right now. Been a while, but you know what? We're getting back into the swing of things, so you're gonna have to cut us some slack with that one. I know some of you dirty bastards aren't, but it's fine. It's fine.
I
But
guess I
yeah,
go next then. All right, I'm Daryl. What's up, y'all?
Oh, uh, yeah, I'm Josh. Thanks for filling out 100,000 subs. So, yeah.
Josh really enjoys his privacy, and we will respect
Mm.
that. But anyways, so today's topic for our podcast is basically our pandemic experience. So, y'all, everyone on the internet is probably sick of hearing about all this pandemic shit. But you know what? We're just gonna share what we've been through throughout this whole fucking thing. Because
Yeah.
why not? We all have unique stories to tell. Some may or may not be interesting than others, but you know what? That's why we're putting them on the internet for others to enjoy and figure out whether or not they enjoy them. So,
as well
uh,
as you blackmail for the future.
um, but I don't know if anyone wants to start off or you guys just want me to start off. I'm fine with whatever, you know.
Go ahead, say your piece, man.
Yeah, you go first.
All right, alrighty then.
We're
Well,
just gonna throw you off the ship.
Put me on the spot.
oh man, God, this whole thing started what, like late March 2020, like
No, a little over. It's about a little over a year ago now.
yeah, just about. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I remember, let's see, I was in school, as most of us are, because most of us were college students. So probably the majority of these stories are going to start off with us being in school. And God, I don't remember what I was doing. Uh, I was going through a bunch of different classes and stuff. And then, of course, everything had to be canceled because of COVID. We just found out about that whole thing. Um, and they didn't really want people like going out and stuff. And like I remember people thinking like we were gonna have to like stay like in our actual dorms in quarantine until like the whole thing was over, which wasn't the case. We got to go home. We were able to go home, be with our families. And I'm just like, thank God, because I was ready to go home either way. And I remember my roommate at the time, he was Anthony. He goes by Tuba, good man. But he was my roommate, and I remember we had to rent a van from Enterprise because at the time they had like some discount or special or whatever, so college students could get home. So we ended up renting a van through that and packing up all our shit in that van. I remember it was like excuse me, like a 2020 Dodge Grand Caravan. It was pretty neat. I was a little paranoid about driving it just because I had never driven such a big car before. But I was like, well, you gonna learn today.
Oh yeah,
You gotta get home. And
yeah. You gotta find some way to do it, bro.
yeah. So I was like, well, and then pretty much once I started driving it, it felt like any other car. So and then we ended up just throwing all of our shit in that thing. We somehow managed to fit all our shit in that fucking van. And like I remember all of our stuff was like stacked to like the ceiling of the van. So I had like no rear view mirror whatsoever, which was fine. But like, cause like the way I was taught how to drive, like my dad always told me, don't necessarily worry about who's behind you. Cause if someone hits you from behind, it's their fault. So it's better not to be like too paranoid about who's like driving behind you. But it's like I like the reassurance of being able to see who's behind me when I'm driving. Uh, but I mean, obviously, we made it back safely because I'm here doing well. Uh, and then after all that was said and done, I remember my mom was out of town, so I had to go pick her up from O'Hare Airport out in Chicago. And man, I remember driving on the highways like to Chicago. It was like packed like any other Chicago highway would be. But once I got to O'Hare, it was a ghost town. Like there was like a few buses running around the airport, but there was nobody like
You
at the
mean
airport
nothing?
whatsoever. Nothing. And like
Like
even my
nobody was
mom was
there.
telling me, like when I picked her up, she's like, "Yeah, don't think O'Hare is always like this because O'Hare is like normally like a packed airport."
Oh God, you
Yeah.
Yeah,
lucky
it
bastard.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's because probably because of the pandemic, because people had to stop taking airplanes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I remember like, yeah, like really on in the early days, they were restricting lots and lots of travel and stuff. I remember like I think like people were left in other countries because nobody knew what the hell was going on, so they had to like kind of just wait it out wherever they were at, which was like just so crazy to think about. Like just like reflecting on that. Um, and then of course like once like we like even like in the middle of things like Black Lives Matter that started to come back up again with George Floyd. um I remember going to like a protest down in Muncie too. I might throw in a few pictures of that later because just to show just like because I remember like I don't know because it was weird because like everyone's trying to like be safe, social distance, but then it's like the whole protest thing. But I mean, I don't know, most people who were protesting, at least at the protest I went to, they were like still wearing masks and stuff. So I mean, I wasn't really too paranoid about going. And I don't know, like I just remember like obviously in the early days, it's like no one knew what was going on. So everyone's like, you don't gotta worry about wearing a mask. Well, not necessarily you don't have to worry about it, but it was like uh at first they were saying, the masks were like mainly for like nurses and doctors because they were short on those. So they were like telling people don't buy up the masks because the doctors and nurses need them because you got to have all these doctors and nurses to treat all these sick people. And then I'm sure you guys all remember like the hospitals were like packed like crazy, just because of like everyone like a bunch of people getting sick because of COVID. And I don't know, it was I don't know. I don't want to say like I was paranoid about it, but it was more of like, COVID shares a lot of like symptoms to like other illnesses like the flu and stuff. So it's like any sort of like cough or just anytime you felt so you're just like, oh shit, do I have COVID? And I don't know.
Yeah, there are
Just
tons of COVID jokes made everywhere.
yeah.
If you coughed, everyone was looking at you like an alien.
Like honestly though, like everyone, like especially early on, was just like super. It was understandable because like kind of new disease, no one knew what was going on with it. Hadn't been studied like that much, at least like COVID-19, that variant of like COVID or whatever. Um, and then of course there's all like the political BS we can get into with our former president, but I think we've all heard enough of that. We've just yeah, just oh god,
It's over.
like
I think it's
like
good to leave past.
like
Wait, so at this point, are we in November?
like
I think he's
um
talking about in terms of like the timeline,
yeah, like
but
I'm just
like
giving like a general overall timeline of just like everything. Like I don't know. I haven't really given like a whole timeline actually. Like I've just given like just various moments I've been throughout the pandemic. Um, and just I mean like the various things that I've gone through, or at least like the most notable things that like stand out to me that I want to share. Um, and then I don't know. And then I just remember like when we had to go back to school in the fall, like everyone was like kind of up in the air about it because like, are we gonna have school in the fall, or are we gonna have to do like an online school, combination of both? Which I know for me, I ended up doing like a combination of online classes as well as like a couple in-person classes. So I was able to get, I guess, the best of both worlds in a way.
Which do you like better?
Uh, I mean, for me, I feel like I personally like the online classes just because I don't know, I'm able to just kind of like build my own schedule in a way, just because at least for my experiences with online classes, most of my teachers have been pretty lenient and pretty chill about everything. Just like, hey, as long as you get this done by this date, or send me an email if you need some extra time. Just as long as you get it done and turned in, do what you got to do. I haven't really had a teacher that was just like super super strict on deadlines. Um, of course, I do like the in-person classes too to get that hands-on experience with whatever I'm doing. But I don't know. I just be able to kind of just work at my own pace too.
Someone's been doing online classes basically for the entirety of the year we've been back. Cause like
Hmm.
for me, cause you and Daryl went back. I stayed. Uh, and so like for me, it would it was a harder adjustment because I didn't even have in person classes. So all of my stuff was online. I didn't really even have any lectures either. So it was basically you have to check yourself. That's probably the hardest part about online classes. You have to check yourself on time because otherwise you will end up missing so much stuff. Like I've missed quite a few and I still did. But this is still somehow my best semester of school, and it was all online. But I still missed quite a few things because I just sometimes just know I just wouldn't even think about it. Like oh shit, I have this due today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally like online classes just as much as in person, but it also depends on the teacher. Because certain
Yeah.
teachers are way like certain
Yeah, I
teachers in
agree with
certain
that.
classes are like way better for online or way better for face to face. Like
Yeah.
I had to drop a psych course because I was taking that online and I was not doing well at all. I wasn't even paying attention. So I had to drop that because I was like, man, this shit ain't working. That's a class that's better in person because you actually get to interact with people and
Yeah.
discuss like different mental things and all that. So
Mhm. Yeah. I will say definitely for like online classes and stuff, it does require a lot of discipline to like just keep track of your assignments, and it's very easy to get like sidetracked just doing whatever else you want to do besides the class. But
yeah,
you know,
Yeah, I
I
have
mean,
that problem too.
like at the end of the day, I feel like I thrive by the philosophy of C's get degrees. So hey, pass by any means necessary.
bam, I feel that. I feel that. Hey, like I said, in this semester I barely got any. See, like I said, this is the weirdest semester of the 3 years I've been in college because this was my best one. Because like every semester I've gotten at least two or three C's. This one, every year. This year I only got one, and I'm really thrown off as to how the hell I even managed that. Because some of those classes I ain't paid fuck all worth attention to. Hey, gosh, dang, some of those classes, and then I fucking got an A in a class by just like getting a B on the final. I didn't even study for it.
Oh,
I for real did not study for it at all. I was just like, oh shit, because like we, I was already betting on getting a D in the class, or like a low C or a very low C in the class, and I somehow managed to get a B on the final and pass it with an A. I don't even
whoa,
know
whoa,
how.
whoa.
Oh,
Hold
I,
up. You went from low C with a B on an exam, and that shot you up to an A?
no, okay. So I had a high C in the class.
I
If
see.
I did bad on the test, it wouldn't have caused me to fail the class, but I would have had a low C, a very high D. But because I passed it, I managed to get a 90%.
Wow.
That's the second time I've clutched an exam in my 3 years. The first time is still amazing because I passed the class with 1 point on the test. That one is still bigger to me, but still,
Oh yeah, I remember when you told us that.
that
That was crazy.
I don't even, man. I'm glad I
You
never
were
had to take
so
that class.
relieved.
Oh
Yeah,
hell yeah, because that teacher was a pain in the ass. Go ahead.
yeah. I remember I was taking Spanish when like the whole COVID thing started, so I was very glad when I got to like basically take all my finals at home. That was a very big benefit of like the whole pandemic thing. Like, I mean, obviously there was terrible things going on, but it was very nice to be able to take finals from the comfort of my own. Which brings up another thing. I'm not sure like what like grading system like other schools use. I know Ball State we use this thing called Canvas, where we put like all our grades and all our assignments into that. And I don't know if you guys had to deal with this. Do you guys have to deal with this thing called Lockdown Browser when you guys took tests?
Oh, that
Yeah,
was one
I
class.
I
Oh,
I I think I had it in one of my classes, but the teacher kind of like went away from it because it was kind of bad.
yeah, like I know some of my teachers they were just like fuck Lockdown Browser. We're not gonna make you install that shit onto your laptops. But my Spanish teacher was like, well, I think it was more of like a department thing than it was my teacher thing. So I don't really give him shit for that. But it's like I don't know. I just personally felt like Lockdown Browser was like kind of a bit of an invasion of my privacy, invasion of my personal space because it was like recording you while you're taking your tests. I mean, obviously,
yeah.
like there's only so much like stuff you can get just from like a basic recording of me staring at my computer, but it's like I don't know. I just the majority of the time it's like I don't feel a need to necessarily show off my personal space unless like I absolutely have to, like
That shit was weird to me too, because he had to like record the entire space around you too.
oh yeah, like you like we had
Like
to
I don't have a I don't have a desk, so I had to basically record. I have my chair in my bed. I was doing my test on my bed.
yeah, it was like
Oh,
they make you do like a 360 of your room. I'm just like, that's just kind of fucking creepy. I'm just like, I don't want to show anyone my fucking room. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of showing it off now, but it's like, you get to see like the nicer parts. You don't see the mess I have, but you know,
yeah. We look forward to seeing the skeletons that you have in your closet later on.
Gosh, but yeah, when the shit first started, I actually got sick. Like I think a week or two after the shit started getting announced. Because like it started getting announced like late February, right, or early March. I think it was early
Yeah,
March.
yeah, just about like
it was early March.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
early March.
Early March, late February, in that
Yeah, no,
area.
I got sick. I got sick like a week or two after all the shit started going down. Because it was fucking funny as hell. I went to like, cause I went to a gymnastics meet in Illinois. I don't know where. I forgot the city. Uh, and we decided to go to a party. Fun as hell. Pre-game for like 2 hours before. That shit was not fun. But I swear I came back. I finally caught something from somebody there. It was literally every symptom I had was like pneumonia symptoms. And the fucking okay. So, all right, I'm just gonna go in order. I get back. I'm sick. I don't really know what it is. It wasn't too bad. Guess it got worse. I could barely even stand. So I decided to will myself to go to our student like health center, and they were just checking me, and they were like, "Come back if things get worse." I came back, got a different doctor. No, I went back, got the same one. She said, we might have to take you to the hospital if this happens the third time. The third time I go, I get a different fucking doctor. And she's just like, oh, you might just have like a fever. I'm like, bitch, what? I was sweating constantly and cold at the same time. Couldn't move. I was sick as hell. The bitch prescribed me this shit, Tamiflu, and started making me hallucinate. This is already compounded on the already like crippling sickness. I couldn't get out of bed. I had to get one of my friends from Purdue to just bring me some damn soup. Like, just bring it. I was like, just bring it outside of the dorm because I can't move. I had to force myself to go downstairs to get it, and I still barely ate. Eventually, the hallucinations just set in to the point where it's just like they were bad hallucinations too. It was like voice hallucinations. It was like auditory hallucinations where it's just like walk out of the room, jump out the window. I'm like, nope. I called
It's like,
mom.
no.
I
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
What?
I for real, yeah. I for real called my mom. She was like, I'm calling the front desk. Then I got sent to the hospital for not even a night. It spent like a couple hours. They basically put a fuck ton of like fluid in my system. Took like two or three like shots of blood from me. So they took a lot of blood. I had to sit there for hours. It was like 8 o'clock. I didn't get back to like 1 o'clock in the morning. I genuinely, and by then, I still had the symptoms, but it started going down. Thank God, over the next few days, and I seriously think I probably caught it at the while I was away. Cause the shit was bad. Like I said, I couldn't do fuck home. I said, now maybe I could have just got pneumonia because when I went to the hospital, they diagnosed me with pneumonia, which means this is the second time I've caught it. But if it's not, I could have potentially had the virus, just didn't fucking know. So
Yeah,
that was the beginning of mine.
because like I know at least for me, like y'all know my experience, because like I've had like a bunch of stomach problems going into college and stuff, so it's like I don't know, sometimes like I don't know if I'm just like sick with something or if it's just my stomach acting up, so it was like I know there's a few times where it was like, is this COVID or is my stomach just acting up? It's like I don't know. Like I don't know, because like I know like I've gotten tested for it before and all my tests have come back negative. So like I said, I've told you guys before, I'm just built different. So because I've gotten tested like plenty of times. Like I've been around other people who've tested positive for COVID, and I get a test and I test negative still. So I don't know, because I've thought about getting like one of those antibody tests or whatever, but I don't know how much that costs or whatever. So I'm just curious, like, am I like immune to COVID, or did I have it at some point and just didn't know? I don't know.
I think we can safely assume that Paul was just way too strong for COVID to even infect his body.
I kind of had the same thing too. So when I went to the hospital, they told me I had pneumonia. I was like, oh fuck. they didn't give me the test. They were just like, you have pneumonia, and I guess they just didn't think to give me the test at all. Like they didn't test me for coronavirus at all. So I was like,
Did they have the test available in scale yet, though?
That's a good point. I don't know. It's possible they didn't. So like I said, this was just a few weeks after they said it started getting bad here in America. So it's possible the hospital I went to just possibly didn't, but I don't know. But like I said, I will never know if I had it or if I just caught pneumonia somewhere.
I know it did definitely take a while before they started like mass testing people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess we can blame the leadership, maybe.
Hmm.
So we're gonna stay away from that. We are purposely
Yeah,
staying away from that
because
conversation.
I don't know, it's very easy to get in those conversations. I feel like especially now, like
It is it is it is both easy and very difficult
wh-
to
which I mean, I'm not gonna act like we're not just gonna act like all that shit with our president didn't happen. It's just
yeah.
like it's been discussed so much at this point that I'm pretty sure the majority of America is kind of sick of it, and I don't know. Which I'm always I like to call myself like the CEO of minding your own business, which is what I do most of the time. I'm just like, you know what, hey, do you, as long as you're not hurting anybody or like forcing your beliefs onto someone else, then just go about your business. Because
Yeah.
I feel like you reach a certain point in your life to where like once you reach that point, you kind of feel like in a way you necessarily know everything, but it's like you have like a set mindset in a way. So, and once you're in your own mindset, it's very, very difficult to change the way certain people think, because
Hmm.
it's like, sure, you could bring up, facts or statistics, but if it doesn't align up with someone's beliefs, then, that'll mean fuck all is the most blunt way I can put it, you know?
Huh. I think this kind of reminds me of like the point of debating. So it's like when people argue, it's like, you know, oftentimes on the internet it's just, hey, I want to call you stupid. When you're actually debating, like, your goal is to, somewhat persuade the other person to take your point seriously or even persuade them to be on your side. And oftentimes that's just impossible. I mean, the data can mean fuck all to anybody. Um, so oftentimes it's like for a lot of people who experienced COVID, it was a change in perception. Like, people had to actually die before they took it seriously. So it's like, I know plenty of people I worked with during the pandemic. They would tell me, hey, I take this mask thing seriously, and then proceed to take their mask off. And because I've had X amount of family members get it and need to be hospitalized, and I know this person over there who actually died from it. I know my mom; she had a friend whose cousin died from it or something. I think a couple of my family members got it, but it was that harsh reality, that cold reality that said, hey, I don't care uh, what you think about how it got here, how the leadership is responding to it. In the meantime, people are dying. How are you going to respond to it yourself?
Yeah.
Uh, and that kind of thing changes people's beliefs and their reality. Well, how they handle the reality they're dealing with. Yeah. More on your um. Yeah, COVID. Yeah.
Just, you know, 2020 as a whole, like, was just kind of a clusterfuck because, oh God,
What it was.
just
It was a horror movie, bro.
like honestly, it was a horror movie of the year. We had like so,
Everybody died.
just like so many, like not only like close loved ones die, but it's like famous people, celebrities die, like Chadwick Boseman, Kobe. Those are the main
That
ones that come
was
to mind. Like those
that
ones
was a
hit
weird.
hard.
That was probably one of the weirdest parts for me.
Yeah,
'Cause,
like
yeah, I was just like, damn, what the hell?
it's
I was
like
like, what the hell is with all these celebrities dying and shit?
yeah, it's like obviously like you can't truly prepare for a death to happen, unless you're committing murder, which hopefully no one is. But you know, you can't really prepare for that to happen. Just all of a sudden, breaking news: so and so died. It's like it's weird to think about. It's like one minute this person is in our world, and the next they're gone. They're no longer alive, and like just like it was just overall 2020 was just a very like community wide clusterfuck of a year.
It was shit. Ass, cheeks, buns. It was terrible.
It was
2020 was
everything,
terrible.
man. It sucked. This shit
Man.
was just terrible, man.
I think the worst part I think of 2020 was just it was just like not knowing when the fuck the shit would end. Like we had no idea when the pandemic would end. We were getting put in fucking curfews and shit. Like you
Oh my
couldn't
god,
leave past a certain time.
like the
For
fucking
real.
Fucking
curfews. Like, oh my, I almost forgot about those. Fuck.
I was just like, I'd say it was probably at its peak worst, probably around June, July. Because then
Yeah,
I would say like March was the start. April, May, people were still kind of the shit's stacking. It's
mhm,
rising more and more by June,
yeah,
July, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, this
yeah.
is kind of a fucking issue now.
Because like
Yeah.
I know like around June, July, around that time, that's when a lot more Black Lives Matter protests started popping up, or riots if you're one of those people.
Hmm.
But uh, a lot of those started popping up. So like certain cities, they were really like cracking down hard on like some of the curfews. Like I remember, like just all sorts of videos just out there of just like police like and like decked out and like military style gear. Like hell, I remember when I was in Muncie when I went to that Black Lives Matter protest. Like they had like the Humvees out there. They had like police too. Like granted, they didn't do shit. They didn't get involved or anything. It stayed peaceful like it was supposed to be. But obviously some some police forces tend to like really
Over fucking
use
do
their
it.
yeah really want to overdo it or really want to enforce their power, which is a whole nother topic we can dig into. But it kind of just like I don't know, like with the pandemic in 2020, like it all just sort of like collided and just like we said, one big mess, one big clusterfuck. It was just
This was during
it.
the summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah, during the summer, it's like you have all these people, all these college students out of class, no studying. Combine that with the fact that there's, I would say, an economic fall because
Oh shit. Yeah, I forgot
how
about
many
that.
people lost their jobs because hey, COVID happened, so don't go outside.
A
Yeah.
lot
All
of
those
movie,
small
It's
businesses
like
fucking up.
a lot
yeah,
of
it's
movie
like
theaters like closed. A lot of movie theaters, bars, clubs,
yeah,
restaurants, shit just
it's
closed.
it,
Yeah, pretty much everything was shutting down.
yeah. Unless you were a grocery store, like a gas station, maybe like
And like
pretty
that was like
much was shut
like
down.
considered a
For a
priority
really
good.
big corporation.
Tattoo.
Uh, yeah, lots of things were closing. So I mean, it's like you have all these people with free time on their hands, and what seems like inaction from the government. They're gonna there's gonna be some unrest, and basically, I think literally anything could have happened, and people would have jumped on it because you know they're scared and they don't know how to fix their situation such that they're not scared. So it's just like we need to do something. I don't know what, but
That's a,
walk down the street and yell.
that's kind of a problem with both like the actual citizens and the government infrastructure itself. Like there's problems on both sides of that, but you know, hey, we're back.
Yeah. If you haven't realized by now, we don't feel like paying for Zoom. So, this is what we got to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. I mean,
so we're just gonna blame that on technical difficulties and move on.
Yep.
Also, we're down one person. Had to
Yeah.
step out for a second, so there's a possibility that they do come back or they not,
Yeah.
depending on what they're doing. So
Yep. But the show must go on.
yes, the
the
show must go on.
But, but yeah, I know another thing that kind of popped into my mind that happened during the pandemic was just like the entirety of sports was just so fucking weird. Like we had like just like almost every sport going on at the same time, just like it was just really trippy. I mean, of course, WWE is as much of a sport as it gets. It's scripted, but I mean, there's still the athletic part of it. They never fucking stopped what they were doing. Vince McMahon was just like, fuck the pandemic. That shit doesn't exist. And he just kept running shows. Obviously, they couldn't have people in the arenas, but that, like, I remember, like, for like at least like the first couple weeks when everyone was getting sent home, WWE and I think like maybe like one other sport, which I can't remember what it was, but like those were like the only things like sports wise that were going on television. Everything else was either canceled or just like waiting things out to see how things went.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And then, like, I just imagine how bad sports must have been for like those few couple months too, like the ones that were still going on. Just
yeah,
can't go, you can't go, and like yeah, they can film it, but then it's like, what the hell are we doing this? Like I bet they're just like, hell are we doing this for? There's no audience here.
yeah, it was like a weird like eerie feeling. Like not necessarily eerie, but it was just strange because we're used to like an American crowd just being in the audience, being all rowdy and shit, yelling, doing whatever. I mean, at least for me, like since you guys already know I'm a big wrestling fan, so that's like kind of like the main thing I really keep up with, and that was kind of like the main thing that got me to tune into WWE again. Because I mean, obviously, like I was watching it because I was a part of, and I'm still part of like wrestling club at my school, Ball State. But like I don't know, WWE, at least in terms of their content, in my opinion, has been kind of meh. So I just like, I'm not going to waste my time with it. But I was curious to see what they were going to do with no audience, because professional wrestling, I feel like especially, it builds off of crowd reactions. The wrestlers, like, they play off the crowd. If like, I mean, I've been to like a bunch of independent shows where like wrestlers, they'll sometimes talk shit to like some asshole out in the crowd, and like obviously they don't fight or get into it, but they they know how to work a crowd. Some of these guys, and it's just interesting to see, how I guess like the third person being the audience, not being there to like provide their input into what's going on.
I
Yeah, I
imagine.
can imagine that was a weird show. Because I mean, like, it was there just like nobody in the audience at all?
Nope. Yeah. No. At least I know for the WWE, they started putting on their shows in like their performance center. So that's like normally where like people will be just training and shit. But they just, but since like they couldn't go on tours because like the people wouldn't be able to go out and buy tickets and stuff. They just moved their whole setup back to Florida and then just started uh filming their shows there. Um, and
Huh.
then I know eventually, like once we started getting like other sports back, it was it was a similar. Like I think there was a decent. I know at least for sure WWE and like the NBA, they were both like set up in Florida for their filmings because the NBA they had like their whole bubble thing, you know, where
I
it's just like
imagine.
where like they basically just had like the select teams like that they wanted for like the playoffs or whatever. Well, they had like some sort of like qualifying thing to get into the playoffs from what I remember. But I just remember like the NBA had like their strict bubble where like the players they couldn't go out do whatever. Which I mean, at the time when like we were like in the middle, like real middle of pandemic, no one was going on again. But you know the the players really just like kind of kept like in like pretty sure like it was somewhere in Orlando. I want to say like Disneyland. No, I don't remember. Somewhere in Florida. I remember it being Orlando.
I imagine for the wrestling, it's at that point just become like just kind of act with the green screen where like they're just filming and then they just have to act this shit out basically.
Well, I mean, I know eventually what WWE ended up doing is they invested into what they call well like well it was like in like the Thunderdome or whatever where like they basically had like a bunch of screens set up to where people could actually like tune into the shows and be in the audience. And you just see like a bunch of faces, but it's basically just like it was kind of just like a one big Zoom call almost. And you like I remember I tried to get into like one of those like online shows where like your face would show up on like the TV or whatever, but like I remember it was very hard to get into one of those. Like like you had to click like your login link like at the exact time like they tell you to, or else you will not get onto one of those screens on the TV. And all of it was free, so it's not like they were like charging people to do it. But I just remember it being like one big pain in the ass if you wanted to get into the Thunderdome.
I bet. Dang. Hundreds of thousands of people trying to get in at one time.
Oh yeah.
No wonder the bandwidth was probably shitty during the summer.
Oh God. Um, it's
And then,
just it's just crazy
go
to
ahead.
think like the amount of things that just happened to everyone during this whole thing that, but you know, it's still technically going on. I mean, obviously we reached a point where we have our vaccines. Granted, they are not fully FDA approved. They only have emergency approval, which is like from what I've researched, it's like there's like completely different standards for both or something. So I'm not going to act like I'm the perfect source of information for this. Like, you know, obviously, do your own research if you want to get a vaccine. I'm not a doctor, clearly. I'm barely a college graduate, let alone a doctor. um, but,
Yeah,
you know,
we forget everything you said. We totally know everything about vaccines.
No, the fuck we do not.
no,
We do
Josh,
not follow
we do
that.
not. We
No, we
apologize
do
for it.
not. Nay, we ain't we are not liable for any bullshit that
Yeah,
occurs.
yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, do your own research. Talk to your doctor if you have one, or if you feel you need to. But you know, figure out what's right for you. Don't just go by what one internet person says. For the love of God, don't do that. My God,
I am like
the
the
amount of
best.
people who don't do research in this country is kind of ridiculous.
It's a yeah, it's bad. It's
Like,
not even just this country, it's just in the world, period.
like,
Oh, like speaking of internet people, I'm like, I just had this really amazing statistic that I just want to bring up to your attention. You're like 60% smarter if you do a Google search before you say something on the internet. I'm just saying.
I believe that.
yeah,
Because at the
granted,
very least, you attempted to try and
yeah,
see if there's different information.
yeah. Because granted, like obviously, not everything on the internet is true, but you know, you're going to be better off doing your own research and at least like attempting to gain the knowledge than just like talking out of your ass. But you know, it's like at least do the bare minimum. Google's free, people. Come on now, you can
Yeah,
use
like
it.
Abraham Lincoln said, do your research. Get on the
Google,
It's
Bing,
like
Firefox. God help you if you use Bing, but that's an option too. You
it's
know what I
like
mean?
Yeah, imagine if you're a Wikipedia smart man.
oh God, but you know,
Oh,
it's just this. It's been quite the journey. Like you know, this past year has felt like a few years. You know, if that makes any
right.
sense.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
no,
does.
trust me, I feel that. This past year for me, it's felt like 10. Uh, so I've been, when you, it's like
Like
you actually went home for the semester, or for the year. I didn't. So I was basically doing pretty much, I was basically just, it's weird because when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be home all the time, right? But then it's like, once you're actually home all the time, you're like, damn, this sucks. I want to do something that's not me being fucking me all the time. It's not
yeah,
like I don't love my folks, but it's just like, damn, I've literally been in this house for a year and like April, May, June, a year and almost 3 months,
yeah. And
and
it's like, oh,
it's been a
He's basically
long
Master
course.
Roshi.
mhm. And it's like, you know, sure, like there's a bunch of things like you can do out there that cost money, but it's like you could still walk the streets for free. But I mean, in the early days of the pandemic, you couldn't do shit except go to the grocery store. If there was any fucking groceries left in that damn store, or the toilet paper, the paper towels, they were all
Oh,
gone. They were all gone,
oh, I
bro.
It's
forgot
like,
They
oh
that.
were
God,
all gone,
pandemic. How am I
That
gonna drop a
bro.
deuce?
that shit was
Or
funny. It was funny as hell.
Like,
Wait,
oh my god.
I remember me and mom went to the grocery store for food, and we're like, "Where the hell is all the toilet paper?" We're like, "How the fuck is the toilet paper?" Now, Paul, you and I have had this discussion like no antibiotics, no vitamins. No, you went for the toilet paper and paper. You went for you went for the one thing you probably need least. Now, I won't say least, but what's one of the things that you don't need as much as fucking antibiotics and probiotics? Like what?
It's like at
I'm
least
just
Get your
saying,
like
the toilet
get some
paper I
damn
get broke.
juice.
it's like, bro,
Some
drink
juice.
some orange juice, get some vitamin C,
Just
take your
get some fucking
vitamins.
Pedialyte. I don't give a
It's
damn.
like get the
Get,
Flintstone
get,
gummies. I
get,
don't
get,
care.
get your vitamin D in. Yeah.
Like obviously, like taking vitamins alone isn't like gonna make you immortal or superhuman, but at least give you that extra edge. Help your body out a little bit.
Speak for
Again,
yourself.
do your research. Do what's best for you. That's what it
And
comes down to.
it was funny because then even on the topic of vitamin D, fucking doctors had to tell people like, yeah, no, don't like fuck during this because that still spreads like that too.
Yeah.
It spreads through bodily fluids.
you
Oh
know,
well.
you just couldn't do anything anymore. Um, just you, oh,
Yeah, don't even get close to it. Don't breathe next to them. Don't be next to them. Like if you cough in aisle one, basically everyone in aisle four is
Yeah,
like I feel like it reached a point where it's like like doctors and the CDC, they were saying, oh, you can't do this, this, and this, but obviously there were still those people who were just like, man, I don't care, I'm just gonna do what I want, which is
the bad part is that those were mostly college students, which fucks with me.
yeah, the fucking parties, bro. Like, oh my god, like so many people were out partying. Not even just college. Obviously, there were college students partying, but it's like people were like throwing parties throughout this whole thing. I mean, obviously, we as humans, we are social creatures, but it's like it didn't really help things. Like, I feel like it probably set us back like longer, at least in terms of like getting out of the pandemic.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean,
I
I mean,
mean,
it's like sure we
listen,
did.
you
We,
can't underestimate the power of vitamin D. Like seriously.
And it's vitamin C that it means the most. That's the one that actually helps your immune system. Dang,
oh, yeah.
I can't provide anyone vitamin D. You need to get some vitamin C for yourself.
Fun fact: if you have like a surplus of vitamin C, like you basically uh urinate the excess. You can go on Google to check this out.
You said what?
You urinate the excess vitamin C if you get too much of
Oh,
Ah,
nice. So you can provide vitamin D and C.
it. Yeah, man. Now you just can't forget the A and the B. Now do some
ah.
crunches.
Definitely vitamin B. Vitamin B the day after.
I don't think I have track of this now.
like like again, like it's still crazy to think about how like things kind of just went to shit in almost an instant. It's like 1 minute like you're out just like living your life, traveling, doing whatever you want basically, and the next you're just kind of stuck in your home and you're told you can't go see your family or close loved ones or close relatives or because you might get them sick. And I feel like there was just like so much gray area during this whole thing, is like in terms of like what's right and what's wrong, what you could do and what you can't do. And it's like I don't know, I feel like everyone kind of reached a point of just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do whatever. Yeah.
Well,
I'm just gonna speak for the introverts out there. Like, yo, when they said, "Hey, don't talk to anyone, don't be around anyone, just stay at home and chill," to be honest, I wasn't really mad.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
like I,
especially
I
that
feel you.
first month or so. Like, dang, dude, there was no traffic on the road. You was just going places. You could be like, because I was working, like I could be like running 10, 15 minutes late, and I'd still make it like with time to spare because I could just speed and no one would be there. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's like I didn't need a virus telling me to stay in my room and don't talk to anybody because I can do that on my own.
Like, yeah, I agree to that. Of course, I agree with that, but I agree with that to an extent too,
Oh
because
yeah,
it's like you can't just not. It's like so there, you can be introverted, but there's going to be a point where even that gets old.
yeah,
Yeah, but check this out. That's when you get on Zoom and talk to your buddies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that is fair. But
yeah,
of course, there are a lot of people that don't really use that stuff too.
yeah.
So I very much see the world's like mental health going taking a big ass toll after this whole pandemic
Oh
thing.
yeah, definitely. And like I feel like just like in terms of like the long term like ramifications of this, long term consequences, like you know, I feel like in a way, like I feel like this whole Zoom thing, it's gonna stay a thing. I feel like there's still gonna be an option, like even like once we're past the pandemic, because it's just so much easier to just get online and meet with someone. I mean, obviously, people are still gonna get together, but like in terms of like job interviews, even or just like any sort of a meeting, like no one wants to go out and do that shit anymore. It's like, bro, just log on to Zoom. You save gas. Fucking, you don't have to go to the office. You just tune into the meeting right there.
Oh
And
yeah. Like I
Hmm.
had two job interviews, one from Oregon and one from California, over the phone and FaceTime.
mhm,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just the job I have now. I did over Zoom. Hey, it was fucking great. Hey, like I said, there's definitely gonna be downsides to it, feel like a lot of people's social skills are gonna go down because of that too.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. 'Cause I mean, obviously, we can still socialize over social media, but it's different. You know, it's not like I don't know how to describe it. Like obviously we're still interacting with each other. We're still talking. We're just not
It's
in the
not as
same room with
organic.
each other. But
It's not as organic.
yeah, like it's I don't know. Like there's definitely like at least I guess in terms of like interviews like over like video calls and stuff. Like I feel like there's not as much pressure going into it because it's like hey, you're not in the same room as them. Like obviously you still have to answer whatever questions they want, but there's
Hmm.
not like the pressure of them just like I don't know how to describe it.
Stare.
Not as yeah, just like staring you down, like staring into your soul. Just- I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but but
Like, see, normally in interviews, like you go and you talk to somebody, and they're basically grilling you and doing the penance stare into your eyes to see through all your sins and whatnot. And then they give you a job, regardless.
Or not.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Uh,
it's like they just pull out like shoot, what was that one episode of Family Guy or what didn't like Peter get pulled over by a cop and like the cop pulled out like that one sheet of like all the shades of skin colors. It's
oh
like
yeah.
it's like let's see if this person get a job.
Let's
Oh,
see which one is okay and which one isn't.
good, good, good. Oh yeah, that's right. It's another thing too because I'm sure a whole lot of people got to practice their professional voice and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta gotta work on that professional voice over the phone. Like
Oh snap!
It's probably worse over Zoom though, because then you had to do the professional voice and they're staring at you.
like people are just becoming full on actors over Zoom.
Yeah.
And also like pranksters too, because it's like people who know how to do who know how to do edits, like green screens. So it's like like that one guy who set up a green screen such that like he had himself walk into the room and give himself tea or coffee or something. Everyone's just kind of looking at him like, what the hell? There's two of you. Yeah, I think we should get to that level at some point.
Mm.
Yeah.
I definitely listen, man. Like on the top of the mental health shit, like like mine definitely declined for like the first like half.
Mhm.
Dang, because especially for the first semester, because then you get, especially when you already live on campus, you get so adjusted to that.
Mhm.
So then having to get adjusted to a new way of schooling, as well as just not. There's so many things. New way of schooling, not having your own place, no interaction with other people. And we live in the hood, so that you walking around is just not an option.
Oh yeah, but um, never mind.
Um,
Oh, I'll do a quick recap of my COVID experience. Um, so yeah, basically, I was working for a majority of it.
mhm.
I was working at an Amazon facility, so yeah, naturally, I was looking. I was like, oh yeah, I'm working with tons of people. I'm definitely gonna get it. No, I did. I mean, some people got it, for sure. Some people in my on my team got it, and um, they did this thing where they would send messages every day, like, "Hey, we have confirmed that people have COVID-19 in your building. Watch out. Try not to die." Um, um so yeah, there was that. It was kind of surreal because at first we weren't wearing masks, and then suddenly it was just, "Hey, you can't come in the building without a mask. And if you
Mhm.
didn't have a mask, you were written up for something."
Mhm.
And it was like a pretty big deal with some people because I mean the mask would just be falling off of their nose, it
Mhm.
wouldn't be covering up their entire face, and safety would be giving help for them for that. Everyone was just kind of pissed off at them because they felt like they were abusing their power.
Mhm.
But yeah, as time, oh, I think the greatest part, I think one of the reasons why I liked it so much was the hazard pay at the beginning. I mean, some people they got it all through the summer, but like Amazon, we had it for like a month or so. And dude, like we got $2 extra on the daily, and then double time instead of time and a half for overtime. So, bro, I was just working hours, and there was plenty of overtime because no one wanted to come to work. It was optional to come to work at one point,
Mhm.
so you didn't have to use any of your attendance points. If any of you guys are familiar with that,
Mhm.
but yeah, soon things calmed down, and Amazon pretty early on was like, yeah, I don't think this is something to worry about.
Mhm.
So they basically said, yeah, we're taking our hazard pay back, and you better come to work. So it was like this giant flood of people I've never seen before just showing up at the building. It's like, who the fuck are you? I work here for 3 years. What do you mean? I've never seen before. Well, the COVID-19 thing. Okay, cool. Um, um, so yeah. Um, uh, After that, things just kind of slowly went back to normal. Apparently, a whole lot of people were interested in dog food and medicine because that's a whole lot of what Amazon was stowing, just like pet stuff, like some cleaning supplies. Some people were stealing those things. It's just everyone doing what they can to get through. And by the way, we don't enjoy stowing all that big shit. So if you, oh god, we have 5 minutes remaining. I'll wrap this up. Yeah, November hit. A president was elected. Uh, December hit. It was Christmas, I guess. I didn't see anybody. I, I think I saw you guys maybe. I don't know. Then it was a new year and nobody cared. But there was talks of vaccines. I guess people were trying to do better with their New Year's resolutions. I think the majority of them failed. But whatever.
Yeah, I'm just like that.
Like, does anyone remember their resolutions if they had any?
I don't do those shits.
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure society did not improve during the new year.
oh,
'Cause I don't do those shits. Fuck that. Because I know I won't stick to it.
uh, yeah. Um, um, yeah. Here we are today,
Yep, here we
working,
are. We
jiving, making money, and moving on with life.
Yep, we're
If there's one
surviving.
thing me. It's like, yo, life goes on, man. I mean, yes, people are dying, but you got bills to pay.
Yep,
Uh,
that's America in a nutshell. People are dying, but you got bills to pay.
I mean, that's most of the world in a nutshell, in fairness. So
Mhm.
hmm.
But yeah, we are surviving. We're thriving, I guess. But
we're getting through it.
we're getting through it,
3 minutes and 30 seconds, y'all.
just like the rest of us. Um, but yeah, I think we reached a good point here. We can wrap things up. But for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again for our next episode, which will hopefully be sometime next week. So we will see you
Yeah,
all then.
don't forget to get your vitamin D, and it's important. It'll
Get your
save your life.
vitamin D and do your research.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and drink lots of vitamin C. Like, yeah, orange juice. Jack. Jack. Oranha. Naranja. I think is it like Naranja? It's right.
Naranja.
Yeah, Naranja.
Yeah, it's actually Naranja. Well, like, go on Google. They can totally back that up for me. It's Naranja.
Don't trust Google. Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, don't trust specifically Google Translate.
Oh, have a
But
Spanish teacher that would have a field day with that.
well, I am saying this. You can totally trust me. I will keep you safe. I'll provide you vitamin D, C, like all the vitamins of the alphabet. So, like, if you have any questions, I can help you. Um, even the big questions, like, what's my purpose in life? I'm probably gonna tell you to fuck yourself, but like, I promise, I'll help you.
Josh, please don't start a cult through our podcast.
Why?
I feel like you just tried to start a cult through our podcast.
You tried to start a self-help group with the number one goal of going, just not doing that.
Like, this is a self-help group that, like, we don't improve your life, we worsen it, actually.
We encourage your personal destruction. Sorry.
Yes, please waste your time. Don't get out of bed every morning. Like, are you tired and you need a sign?
Fucking sleep then.
Exactly. But, like, listen to Depression Wolf in your head. Is he like gray? Is Depression Wolf gray? I don't know. He's gray in your head now. Because I said,
don't ask me. I don't have an imagination. Can't visualize things.
Yeah, that's right. Phil doesn't have any colors, but it's cool. I can give you colors, and everything in the alphabet, like I said. But yeah, I think we have 1 minute remaining. Is this the part where we cut it out?
I feel like
we are not editing that out.
Oh no! This is staying in. This is staying in. I mean, we gave I guess we gave an outro like about a minute or two ago, but we just kept talking. You can tell we're from the Midwest. This is a Midwest goodbye right now.
I don't know the hell that is.
Let's do it because you